Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited. Damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score!
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs. Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast. It is September 4th, 2025. It is a Thursday. That means it's time for the OG Hour. Patrick Allen here with you, with the blog father, Adam Best. Adam, we made it, brother. Fantasy football is back, and real football is back tonight. Eagles Cowboys. Pretty good matchup there. It's a bummer the Chiefs aren't opening up the season as is customary, but we'll play tomorrow night.
We're so back, and maybe being the second game instead of the first game will allow for less jitters. And, I'm in a different headspace coming into the season. And I think being in Dynasty was kind of new to us for a while, but we're like seasoned vets now. So I think I want to handle Chief fatigue differently this season. I just want to shut out the noise and understand that fans of the other teams are sick of the Chiefs, and other media companies know this. And sometimes they handle this by being basically pro wrestlers like Manti Te'o and Jason McIntyre and Colin Cowherd, Dan Orlovsky, who figure out what they're going to say in their production meetings and go out there and do these bits that they do not believe in what they're saying. And then other times you have the more honest brokers who are just bored and know their audience is bored. So they're trying to navigate it. They're putting Buffalo on a pedestal a little bit. They're putting Baltimore on a pedestal a little bit. And even people like Sheil Kapiti at the Ringer, he always jokes that, I'm stupid for not picking the Chiefs. This is likely going to come back to haunt me. It's just, we know what's going on. We know what they're doing. And I think like this receipts culture thing is maybe robbing a little bit of the joy of sports away from us. And we just don't have to give this shit our bandwidth anymore. I don't know. Maybe that's not fun for some people, but I just don't want the glory days to pass us by and for me to look back and like feel like I spent it all being cynical. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I can't help it. I can't. People are, I don't know. It drives me nuts. I shouldn't let it get to me, but I can't help it.
They want your outrage, though. That is good for their business. They want to trigger you.
They do, I'm sure. And look, I get it. It's entertainment. It's boring to pick the Chiefs. It's like, what are you gonna you're putting on a quarterback list every single year, and every year Patrick Mahomes is on the top, and we work in the industry. Right. It's a difficult landscape. People are trying to keep their shows on. They're trying to keep their jobs. Nobody's safe. I mean, you got people that big household names over at ESPN, and they're getting canned left and right. Like, it happens. And Orlovsky this week, if you guys don't know, the most recent ridiculous thing somebody said that we're talking about, Dan Orlovsky over at ESPN he called Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni the modern day Belichick and Brady. And to be fair to Dan, I know what he was trying to say. He was trying to apparently Nick Sirianni was talking about how he didn't know it was banner night, that they weren't raising the banner. I personally think that's preposterous. It's impossible. It's like when even the Chiefs, right? When somebody on the Chiefs said nobody talked about the 3-peat all year. Yeah, right. Sure. And I got some swampland to sell you. Like, of course they talked about the 3-peat. There's a damn documentary they talk about the 3-peat. Nick Sirianni knows it's banner night. It's just coach speak or whatever. It's sort of silly, but like, who cares if that's the way he wants to portray his persona? Or sometimes people need to lie to themselves a little bit to try to get themselves in the right mindset. Right? Like, I'm fine with that. But So I think what Dan was trying to say when he said that they're the modern Brady and Belichick was that the Patriots were like that, right? On to Cincinnati, win, lose, do your job. We're not talking about it. We're so hyper focused on winning. And but so I think that's what he was getting at, that's how those two carry themselves. The only difference is I don't know that it's authentic, right? When it comes from Nick Sirianni. Belichick and Brady are lunatics. Like they're, you know what I mean? Like they're different. They excel because they really are different. But anyway, like I generally like Dan Orlovsky's analysis. I think it's every once in a while he says something a little crazy, but when you're on TV, as much as that guy is, you're going to have some bad takes.
I think he should stick to breaking down plays and stop shouting with Ryan Clark and Stephen A. Smith. I mean, the Stephen A. Smithification, the Pat McAfee-ish quality that has infected this industry, it's more like political talk shows now. It's more like wrestling. And sports used to be about joy. It used to, go back to the days of Stuart Scott and Dan Patrick. Those guys could make me care about golf and hockey and skiing, stuff I didn't care about because they always made sports fun, and sports are supposed to be fun. But I don't know. It's just not hearing Manti Te'o yell into the camera while flexing and holding up a Denver Broncos helmet saying they're definitely going to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs. It's just like, I don't know. I also enjoy the two things I enjoy are football being fun and also like having some nuance in our discussion. And I like both those things. This is like the worst of both worlds. But to get to your point about Sirianni and Hurts, first of all, Sirianni, like, I don't know. He's got the best owner in sports. He's got the best GM maybe in football. He has a loaded roster. A lot of it he inherited, right? And he doesn't call plays. Bill Belichick is probably the best defensive game planner of our lifetime, if not ever. Jalen Hurts, I get some of the intangibles with Jalen Hurts. He is obviously a good leader, but he also is he's kind of cringe. I mean, he's kind of like those posters those motivational posters that your football coach used to have in his office. He's kind of like a sentient version of that. He's kind of like a that your football coach used to have in his office. He's kind of like of that. He's kind of like a slight cooler looking Russell Wilson. And people they fill a lot of dead air. They have to talk. They have to keep people interested. But I think you can just acknowledge the elephant in the room that it gets boring to pick the Chiefs every year. So let's discuss some other alternatives. Like, of course they could lose, but to act like the dynasty is over and Patrick Mahomes' best years behind him and it's all done is just, you're actors, man. You're this isn't real life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It has gotten a little bit silly. And I think what really hits for me on what you said is just the old joy that I used to feel watching SportsCenter back in the day. And it was just fun. And I think the one modern show that I can think of that captured that, and I don't watch it as much anymore, was Good Morning Football when Kay Adams was at the desk. And, it was generally like they had fun. They would make some outlandish predictions or play it up a little bit, Manti Te'o style, but it was always, that show was always positive. It was rarely negative about, and, part of it probably, I'm sure, was because it was on NFL Network. And so they're not going to be doing too much trashing on NFL Network, but actually there was something about it, their personalities, them just genuinely being excited for like Kyle Brandt's angry runs, right? That's the kind of sports content I want. It's fun. It celebrates the game. It's exciting. And they had a really great vibe on that show for many, many years. That was just like, hey, the NFL is great. You don't always have to be a hater. Like you can log in and enjoy the fact that there's a good player on the Broncos, or, you know what I mean? And you could still hate the Broncos, but it doesn't have to all be negative. And I'm with you, man. By the way, shout out to Sea Beach in the chat says, "Hey Patrick, where'd you get that hat? It looks like the extended bill hat. I'd love to get one." So I got this at I don't know if it's available anymore. It might be because we got our butts kicked, but unfortunately I got this at the Super Bowl we lost. I'm trying to balance out the bad juju here whenever I wear this hat because I love this hat, but I got it at the Super Bowl last year. And then this is from the Super Bowl where we beat the Eagles in Arizona. So I'm balancing things out. But yeah, it's a Super Bowl hat, gray. It might be available somewhere, but there's a chance that they boxed them all up and sent them out somewhere at this point. JCP wants to know CeeDee Lamb under 71 receiving yards. Adam, you're a big CeeDee Lamb guy for tonight. What do you think?
I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. I think the Eagles are going to come out and build a lead and run over that Micah Parsons-less defense. They're going to have their way with them, and the Dallas Cowboys are going to be forced to pass. And I think with George Pickens out there, I don't know. I mean, CeeDee Lamb's going to get some good looks, get better looks than maybe he ever has, or at least since Gallup and Amari Cooper were there with him looking good. So yeah, I would not bet against CeeDee Lamb. I think he was playing hurt with that shoulder thing last year. You could see him having to pull himself in and out of games. He's top 5 receiver in the NFL. Yeah.
That's a good segue into our first read here. Appreciate y'all bearing with us. But listen, Underdog is back with Arrowhead Addict. Football's back and Underdog's back. And it's the place to make your picks if you want to win money all season long. Listen, playing Underdog's easy. You just pick whatever your favorite player, they're going to go just like the question we just got asked about CeeDee Lamb. Will they go higher or lower on a stat like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more? And if you get your pick right, you could win up to 500 times your cash. Oh, actually, sorry, 5,000 times your cash. And you could play with as little as $1. I play Underdog a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's super simple. I'm looking at tonight's game, the NFL opener between the Eagles and the Cowboys. I disagree with Adam a little bit. I don't disagree that they're going to have to pass a lot. But I've got Dak Prescott going lower than 246.5 receiving yards because it's the first game of the season. And I feel like sometimes you get the opening quarter jitters for everybody and things just don't work. And so I think you only get about 3 quarters worth of scoring in this one. And I've got Jalen Hurts for higher than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. You can't stop the tush push. If they get down there, they're gonna bust it out, dust it off, and I think he gets his touchdown. You can download the app today and sign up with our promo code Arrowhead Addict, and it'll score you $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. What better time than now? That's promo code Arrowhead Addict. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. We be next. Underdog, make picks, win money. You got to be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. If you're concerned about your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE New York, or text HOPE New York to 467-369. Okay.
Got one comment in the chat I wanna hit, and that just really quickly. Chris Berman, C Beach said he loves Chris Berman, the comments and the whoops, and just made me think of Mike. You're in good hands with Allstott. Just the nicknames and like the fastest 2 minutes in football or whatever he did. Just fun. Bring it back. We're bringing fun back.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's a perfect example. Somewhere along the line, do you remember when it was like all of a sudden it became really fashionable to like hate Chris Berman and like, oh, Chris Berman, his shtick, it's annoying. And it was when all the blogs popped up, and to be fair, like that's when we came about. But it was like those miserable assholes over at Deadspin. Like those people were just all miserable. They did some good work. Like Drew McGarrett, like I enjoyed some of the stuff they did, but I disagreed or disliked their general approach to their website, which was we're miserable and everything's stupid. And I think it was that sort of mentality that kind of led the charge of like, oh, ESPN and blah, 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 and just cynical. Look, man, the world is not a great place. There's a lot of awful people out there. But I don't know, man. Like I want to spend my leisure time enjoying myself. You know what I mean? And like, not like if I'm on the internet or I'm reading a website or whatever, like I want to do that in an environment in which I'm having fun and enjoying myself. And it's actually like a positive thing and an escape instead of just looking for stuff to be mad about. And that's the thing that I dislike about the internet so much now from back in the old days when you started Arrowhead Addict, and like, it was fun. And everybody was generally like, not like completely, but generally pretty cool with each other and having fun. And this internet and early days of Twitter, like, was really clever. It was a great place to be for a sports fan. And now it's just constant. Everybody's miserable about everything and every aspect of life. Yeah, man. Chris Berman, Stuart Scott. If Stuart Scott came up today and he was doing highlights and he was like cooler than the other side of the pillow, these snobby little bastards would be rolling their eyes and be like, oh, cooler than the other side of the pillar. He's so cringe, right? Like that's the kind of stuff you would be hearing. So yeah, let's stop doing it ourselves. I feel like we're wallowing right now instead of talking Chiefs and getting everybody excited for this game coming up tomorrow night.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. All right, cool. This is the Arrowhead Addict podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a solid. Hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the bell so you know when we go live. We'll be back tomorrow. Freaky Friday will be our lead-in, our pregame show tomorrow, as I understand it. And we'll have our halftime show and our Chiefs post-game show tomorrow night after the game in Sao Paulo, Brazil. All right, let's dive in. Before we get to our game preview, I titled this Joe Montana's Monstrous Betrayal. And that's as Stephen A. Smith over the top as you get it. But everybody who listens to this podcast knows I became a Chiefs fan because of Joe Montana. I was a fan of his. I remember as I was getting into football, if you've never heard this story, if you have, I apologize. My older sister, she's about 6.5 years older than me. She had a big crush on Joe Montana, and she was a 49ers fan. And I didn't really have a team yet, but I remember watching I think it was the NFC Championship game when he got hit and injured really badly by the Giants. And he was like never the same, got blindsided. And I remember my sister crying, and I felt bad for Joe Montana. And then when he came back and they wanted him to back up Steve Young, I like shared my sister's like collective outrage. And I was like, and then he got traded to the Chiefs. And I was like, I'm going to be a Chiefs fan. I'm rooting for Joe Montana. I'm going to root for the Chiefs. And I stuck with him and stuck with the Chiefs through all the lean years and worked on the website and all that. And now I've gotten my reward. Vladimir Putin says, thank you for the super chat, brother. Bought us a couple of beers there. It says, I always hated Joe Montana. I love Joe. I got to interview him and meet him at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. It was an unbelievable pleasure. But he was giving an interview recently on Pat McAfee, and he got asked which quarterback he would start a franchise with. And here's what he said. I'm taking the guy in Buffalo, Montana said. Obviously, Joe Burrow is another guy I like a lot. And believe it or not, I like the guy with the Chargers. I think he's kind of gone by the wayside there. I just like the way all three of those guys are. I do also like the guy in Philly. I'm watching this clip, man, as a Joe Montana stan, and I'm just like, oh. And I tweeted it out. The screenshots of, in Braveheart when he unmasks the guy that betrays him, and William Wallace just drops to his knee. He didn't even kill him. He's just so broken and betrayed, and he just stares at him, blood covering his face. I tweeted that out. That's how I felt. What's going on here? Is he just not saying Mahomes because because he always says Mahomes, or he's saying other than Mahomes, or is he just not like the way Patrick plays football?
I don't know. I think I read somewhere that the additional context was he said that Patrick is older. So, but Patrick is a year older, and he also didn't mention Lamar, which I think there's a clear top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. It's Patrick, Josh, and Lamar in that order. Don't get it twisted. But like, we can do tiers, and Joe Burrow belongs in that company. And if you're a big Justin Herbert guy and you think he is the prototypical old school quarterback who's kind of been failed by his franchise and his best days are ahead of him, I get it. Jalen Hurts, I don't know. I think, again, we already got into him, and I think he's a very good player, like a top 12 player, but like, I'm taking so many guys before him. You know what I mean? I don't know. Part of me thought that, like, not to read too much into it, but is he just threatened by Mahomes? Mahomes has arguably already surpassed Joe Montana and his accomplishments in a short stanza of time. And I think if you're Joe Montana, you're looking like, this guy's definitely going to eclipse me. There's no question that I'm going to be behind him on the permanent list when this is all said and done. And it also could just be, him leaning more into the San Francisco side of himself, with there being so much anti-Chief sentiment out there. I really don't know. Maybe Joe's just getting old and just rambly. I don't really know.
I think, look, I'm sure that Joe's time in San Francisco, the 49ers, I'm sure, mean more to Joe than the Chiefs. I think
They
that
should.
Joe means, and they should, right? And I think I think Joe means more to Chiefs fans than maybe the Chiefs mean to Joe. And I don't mean that that's a knock, but he came for a couple years at the end of his career, and it was cool. And I'm sure Chiefs fans have been great and love him, but his fondest memories are going to be with Kansas City or with San Francisco. And for Chiefs fans at that point, that was like one of the best quarterbacks we ever had. And we really wanted a good quarterback. And even though he was at the end of the line and maybe was somewhat diminished, he still was a winning quarterback. Yeah, it's a weird thing. I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know how much he watches football. Like, and I'm not, that's not a knock on him. But like, just because he's Joe Montana, right? I think we all assume that he's watching every game and he's NFL obsessed. And like, I obviously knows what's going on in the league. And so like, whenever he goes and does an interview, people are going to ask him shit about the NFL and what do you think? And what about this? And they want to hear from Joe Montana, but like, he doesn't cover the NFL. He doesn't work in the NFL. He only gets asked about it because he's Joe Montana. So I'm sure he watches games here and there. Maybe he watches a game a week. Maybe he watches Monday Night Football or stuff. But like, I think to expect him to go in there and break down all these young quarterbacks, like, he's retired, man. He's probably, you know what I mean? Enjoying life and doing stuff other than football. So I think that's probably a little bit part of it too. And he probably just was kind of like, yeah, like, these guys are really good quarterbacks, and he's seeing a little bit of them. And it is what it is, because his list is a little all over the place. It's like, yeah, Josh Allen, Burrow, it's like very different. And then Herbert, I think he's probably seen some Herbert, a lot of Herbert out there, and that is what it is. But it hurt a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But I don't think it's too big of a deal, even though I did title the segment "The Monstrous Betrayal."
I almost got mad, and then I did the Mad Max. That's bait. That's bait. McAfee. That's the reaction they want from us. They want people outraged and arguing, and I don't know. They put Joe on the spot. They took like a 2-minute clip, and maybe it wasn't his finest moment, but I'm with you, man. Not all these guys, they had a lot of football in their life earlier on, and perhaps they don't want the second chapter of their life, the golden years, to be all about football. I mean, obviously there are some guys like Peyton Manning who are just grinders and love the sport and are going to be around it, but there are other guys that do you think we're really going to see that much of Aaron Rodgers when he retires? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. But I think he's gonna be off of the pyramids or something, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So no hard feelings, Joe. We still love you, man. And just avoid the traps. It's just anytime anybody asks you anything, say Kansas City, say Casey Barbecue, say Andy Reid, say Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones. You're good.
I'm not mad. Don't write that I'm mad, but I am moving Trent Green above Joe Montana in my all-time Chiefs quarterback rankings. There has to be consequences.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not upset, but
I love Trent. Trent's a friend of the show. He's been on the show, and he's in our intro.
And Trent bleeds. Well, everyone bleeds red, but you know what I'm saying. Like Kansas City, he is part of this community. He's part of the preseason broadcast team. Like the Chiefs are his everything. There's no second team for Trent Green. My dad and I actually had this argument about Joe Montana and Marcus Allen, who I love, and Tyrann Mathieu. And I said that the Honey Badgers should be in the Ring of Honor because I think it should be about who had their best moments as a Chief, who considers themselves a Chief more than any other team. That should be the top criteria over longevity or anything else.
Yeah, you and I argued about this too. I think it's longevity plus accomplishment. Unless you're one of these guys, so if you were a good player, you had to be a great player and a great player for the Chiefs. So for me, Joe Montana would not qualify for the Ring of Honor, and nor would Tyrann Mathieu, even though he had accomplishments. I just don't think he had the staying power in terms of longevity, but somebody like here's an interesting one. Would you put Eric Fisher in the Ring of Honor?
Oh, see, this is the whole Frank Gore versus Jamal Charles thing to me, because I think Tyrann Mathieu definitely was more impactful and had more. He was more responsible for the Chiefs becoming a Super Bowl champion than Eric Fisher. Not that Eric Fisher didn't play a part in that, but he was transformative to that defense. And I look at guys like Kimball Andrews, and and I look at Dante Hall, and man, you will not find a bigger Dante Hall fan than me, but his window where he was a great player for the Chiefs was not very long. I mean, it was like 3 years, guys, really, when you think about it. So I don't know. These guys can't really control how long they're here, but I think it's what they do with the time here. Joe Thuney is going to be a really interesting one because he also has the accomplishments with the Patriots. So what does Joe Thuney see himself as, a Chief or a Patriot? I'm thinking he's probably going to be seen as a Patriot, especially since I think we're going to look at him alongside Creed and Trey and see those guys as like homegrown Chiefs that hopefully make it to the Ring of. I mean, I think Creed, you can basically write his name in pen for the Ring of Honor. So,
yeah, I think Butker. I think Butker is going to go in the Ring of Honor. You got to have a really high bar. I mean, it's like, do you put James Winchester in there? Like
you say that,
up?
But I hate having to hit him with strays, but Kimball Andrews, I just keep going back to Kimball Andrews, man. I'm sorry, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like we were desperate to find people to put in for a while, and now because of the Chiefs dynasty, it's like, oh man, we're gonna have to be a bit more picky about who we allow into this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun. It is a fun argument to have because it's different than the Hall of Fame. It's very personal, I think, to who you look up to. Eric Berry. Like we didn't really win much with Eric Berry, but he's an all-time great for the. He's one of the best I've ever seen when he was here.
He's in. I think he's in. Also, just so inspirational. Really didn't play for another franchise. Was a multiple-time first-team All-Pro. Easy for me to say that he's in.
Yeah. All right. Before we get to our preview of Friday's game, do me a favor, hit that like button over there on YouTube. And I want to tell you about a really interesting new sponsor we have for the show really quickly. It's kind of game-changing product, I guess, that I use before a night out, having some drinks, big football game coming up. Maybe I'm going to have a little bit of fun. Maybe you got to do podcast after. It's called pre-alcohol. And, you face it, like after a night with drinks, you don't always bounce back the next day like you used to. I've made a choice. It's like I can either have a great night out or a great next day. And then I found pre-alcohol, and let me tell you, it's a surefire way to wake up feeling fresh after drinks with friends, celebrating. It's with pre-alcohol. So it's ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink. It's the first in the world it's genetically engineered probiotic. Okay, so it was invented by a PhD scientist to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works: when you drink, alcohol gets converted into toxic byproducts in your gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration. That's what is to blame for you having a rough day after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme that breaks down this byproduct. So just remember, give it a shot. Take pre-alcohol before your first drink of the night. Of course, drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive, and you'll feel your best the next day. Every time I have it before drinks, I notice a little bit of a difference the next day. You can kind of confidently plan your next day activities. You don't have to worry about it. I don't go so hard anymore, but even, as you get a little older, you become an old man like me. You don't have to have that much to just feel a little bit off the next day. And now I got a kid, so I'm waking up. It's, I'm not sleeping in. So fall's right around the corner, and it means it's time to raise a glass to your favorite team. Whether you're tailgating, enjoying a college game day, or watching Sunday's action or Friday's action on your fancy new TV, don't forget ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink. Drink a pre-alcohol before drinking and enjoy great days after celebrating all season long. Here's how you can support the show. Go to zbiotics.com/arrowhead to learn more, and you'll get 15% off your first order when you use Arrowhead at checkout. ZBiotics is backed by 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember, head to zbiotics.com/arrowhead and use our code Arrowhead at checkout for 15% off. When you support our sponsors, you support us. Appreciate it. Okay. Chiefs versus Chargers. This is a weird one, man. I don't feel like we start with a division rivalry game very often to start the season. A lot of times they move those a little bit later, so you're playing somebody weird. This is a rivalry game. It's going to be in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I meant to write down the line. I usually do it. So it's Chiefs are slim favorite, -3, and that's like really like, I guess, like a true 3-point favorite because it's at a neutral location. So normally, right, they kind of give the home team 3 points. So if you're -3 at Arrowhead, it's kind of Vegas is seeing it as kind of a toss up. In this situation, you're probably going to have, you are going to have more Chiefs fans than Chargers fans, but it's going to be like one of those London games where you get a mixed bag of people in Brazil are just excited. There's an NFL game. They support all kinds of different teams. They're going to be showing up in Seahawks jerseys and stuff like that. But listen, people are going to be cheering for the Chiefs more than the Chargers because the Chiefs are a brand, right? There's no question here in your mind.
There's always the haters, right? You have a field where it's neutral. So you're not just going to have Chargers and Chiefs fans showing up. You're going to have randos showing up. But I bet in other countries, the Chiefs are just popular. Like the Chicago Bulls were in the 90s in other countries. That's probably how things translate with the fame of Travis Kelce and how often they're in the Super Bowl and people not getting caught up in the culture we've been talking about here today with American sports. So, yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to have 70% of that stadium rooting for them.
Yeah, I think so. That's what happens when they play in Los Angeles. So why would it be any different in Brazil?
In fact, I think that's maybe part of the reason why this game is in Brazil, because the Chargers are embarrassed by how much red is in SoFi every time they play the Chiefs here in Los Angeles. I'm here, and I'll tell you, I see as much Chiefs stuff, no kidding, as Charger stuff. I see a lot of Ram stuff, actually, but I don't know. That's a different conversation, but I'm not sure it was a great football choice for the Chargers to move here. I'm sure it was financially beneficial for their ownership, but yeah.
So the over under in this game is 46.5. Not a crazy high line, but not a super low one either. For example, you going to watch this one, Adam? Steelers at Jets, over under 38.5.
Woo. That ugly.
Might be the worst. That might be the worst line.
There is some intrigue because you have a Freaky Friday trading places with Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields. They switched teams from last year. So that's kind of
true.
fun, right?
That's true. Your top line, Ravens Bills is 50.5.
Oh man, that's going to be, I can't wait for that game.
Yeah. Titans, I mean, this is one of the higher lines actually of the slate.
I will say that last year in 2 games, I believe the Chargers held the Chiefs to 36 points or something. I mean, those are low scoring tilts last season, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I misread it and said it was 48.5. It's 46.5 if I did. But anyway. Yeah, it's going to be a weird game. The Chargers, on its face, like I always worry about playing a division rival, no matter who it is. And I always worry about playing Harbaugh because he's just such a good coach. And I knew as soon as he got into LA that immediately they were going to start winning games that they were supposed to win. Whereas with Brandon Staley, they were losing any way they possibly could. They were masters of snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory. And they're going through a little bit of it's going to take Harbaugh time to get his people in and get his system set up the way that he wants it. But I think this is a potential tough matchup for the Chiefs. I think both teams have some weaknesses. I think the Chargers have more weaknesses than the Chiefs. But I think if the Chiefs fail to execute, a Harbaugh team is going to take advantage of that and make it a close game. Something he's going to throw at them that they're probably going to have to overcome early in this football game. How are you feeling just generally about the game before we start getting into specifics?
Well, I thought their defensive coordinator, Jesse Mentor, really made chicken salad out of chicken shit last year, because I just didn't think their defensive roster was that good coming into last year, and that looked like a very good defense. So I'm really impressed with him. I'm not as big of a fan of Greg Roman on the other side. I have to wonder, you think back about Gus Edwards, and I know we're all assuming it's going to be the Amari and Hampton show from the jump, but I think we might see a little bit of Najee Harris. Najee Harris is kind of a coach's wet dream. He's the kind of guy that he never gets hurt. I mean, unless he's shooting fireworks, apparently, because he's had 4,000 yard seasons in a row, and he's not a sexy running back, but he's a guy that's going to pick up 4 or 5 yards every time and run hard and wear down defenses. And I just think that they're going to try to wear down the Chiefs. You look at where the Chiefs might be weakest, and I think the trade for Derek Nottie was telling. They're probably worried about those defensive tackles. They lost Turk Wharton, right? Chris Jones is getting older. They want him to play less snaps. Omar Norman-Lott has been hurt. If you are the Chargers, you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone by running the football. You can keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, and you can kind of attack those defensive tackles, right? And maybe even tire Chris Jones out. So I think that's going to be the game plan. Sometimes I think they don't do Justin Herbert a lot of favors with the way that offense runs. I'm not, other than Ladd McConkey, who of course is awesome. Keenan Allen is a shell of himself, right? I'm not saying he doesn't have value, but the rest of those guys don't scare you, the rest of those young guys. So I feel really good about the Chiefs. And I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be a man on a mission, right? I think he's going to come out and he's going to take some deep shots. And I think the way that he's had to play is frustrating twofold, right? It's frustrating because they've asked Patrick to be perfect despite suboptimal a suboptimal situation here these past 2 years. And, just think about what they've asked Patrick Mahomes to do. He's had 5 different left tackles in 5 different Super Bowls. Tom Brady had 4 left tackles in 10 Super Bowls. They just asked this guy to be perfect. He didn't have his weapons. He didn't have a good line last year. The offense was unimaginative. And the other thing is everyone's talking. So not only is he sick of playing perfect dink and dunk, I think he's sick of everyone saying Patrick's lost it. The Chiefs aren't explosive anymore. The Chiefs are boring, right? So I think he's going to want to send a message. And also, they've just been thinking about that Philadelphia belt to ass stuff for half a year. And I think they're going to want to send a message to the rest of the league that, hey, this isn't over. This isn't even intermission. We're still here.
Yeah, and I'm not going to give you my prediction here, but I'll tell you this. Here are the point totals. Since Patrick Mahomes became the starter in season openers, the Chiefs are 6-1. The only game they lost was against the Lions.
No Chris Jones, no Travis Kelce.
No Travis Kelce. And remember, nobody, the receivers couldn't catch a cold. And that happened all season. But in that game, I think the Chiefs would have driven and won that game on a Harrison Butker field goal had anybody been able to catch. But they only
Kadarius Toney, the pick six.
Yeah. Pick six. I mean, it was a frustrating loss, but and at a very good emerging Lions team. But here's what the Chiefs have scored in home openers. I'm going to start with 2018. I'm going to work my way up to last year. 38, 40, 34, 33, 44, 20, 27 last year on the road. They were at home against the Ravens. So not as explosive points wise the last couple of years as those first few, but I think we would all agree, even though Travis is maybe not the Travis of 2020 and 2021, this offense, even without Rashee Rice in the field, should be much better than anything that they've had in the last 2 seasons. So if that's the case, I expect the Chiefs to put up some points in this one. We'll get to our predictions in a minute, but let's talk a little bit about just your confidence level in general. Again, not pulling up your prediction yet. Let us know in the chat how you guys feel as well. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being we're toast, to 10 being we're going to boat race these guys. What's your confidence level heading into this game?
8.5. I think it jumped up a little bit when their left tackle, Rashawn Slater, went out. So what happens then is they move Joe Alt, who's also a stud, Pro Bowl level player. They move him to left tackle, and then they put Trey Pipkins in there at right tackle, who's basically, I don't know, maybe he's a little bit better than Wanye Morris, but he's a bit of a nightmare. And here's what's going to happen, guys. It's going to be the fourth quarter, and Chris Jones is going to kick out and say, hi, Trey Pipkins. Nice to meet you. I am going to wreck this game right now, and there's nothing you can do about it. I feel like that's what's going to happen if this game is close. Especially, I would be a little bit more worried if Mike Williams was still a Charger, because he used to haunt our dreams, right? Like, something about Mike Williams was just a Chiefs killer, but glad to see that guy retired.
Yeah, the dude is he just mossed us all the time, Mike Williams. I just, every time we played those guys, I'm at a 7, I think, heading into this one. I would be higher if I didn't have some outstanding questions. The lack of Rashee Rice, how's that going to impact things? Are we going to see like a significantly improved Rashee Rice? What can we expect from Hollywood Brown? Where's Travis Kelce going to be? Is he going to take a little bit of a step forward from last year? That would be like, so it's like, and then the left side of the line, right? So it's like, if the left side of the line is good and Travis is a little bit faster than he was last year, and Worthy's better, and Patrick's throwing the ball downfield and Hollywood is productive, then I'm in like a 10, but it's like on the flip side of that, if Kingsley's terrible, Simmons struggles on a few key snaps, Kelsey's still declining, Xavier's not better than he was last year, then we might have a problem in a game like this, So Chiefs will still find a way to win. Oh, Pacheco, I didn't even mention Pacheco. So it's like, if all things are optimal, the Chiefs have much better roster. They should win, I don't want to say easily, but they should win without too much sweating from Chiefs fans. But there are a lot of question marks around this team. Pacheco, left side of the line, Kelsey, like Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, like we know Rasheed Rice. Like we just don't know how it's all going to come together. Does Juju have anything left in the tank? I mean, there's a lot of questions. What's the secondary going to be like? Can we stop the run? Can we generate any pass rush? Let's get into some of these specifics. And by the way, over in the chat, I saw Keith says he's given us an 8. Oh yeah, Carl Sheffers is. I think Sheffers is too scared now to make bad calls against the Chiefs. We terrified him at Arrowhead. So, but Adam, can the Chiefs stop this Chargers rushing attack, which everybody assumes is just going to be really lethal because it's Jim Harbaugh and he likes to run the football, and Omarion Hampton was a highly touted prospect and everybody's got him in fantasy and everything. But like, I'm concerned after that weird showing against the Seahawks in preseason, just a little bit. But do you think that was just an anomaly? Do you think that the rush defense is going to be an issue this year?
Yeah, that was just poor effort that night. And I think the Chiefs just got into Seattle. They're like, we're playing at 9:00 our time. It's raining. Seattle's taking this very seriously. Let's just get out of here without any injuries. And they just completely mailed it in. And I think Seattle, they could not run the ball last year to save their life. So I think they were like hell-bent on showing we can run the football. This is going to be our bread and butter. Mike McDonald comes from the Ravens. That was just a weird confluence of events. So this is going to be different. And again, I am not that impressed with this Chargers offensive line. I know they added Mekhi Becton. Maybe he'll be a plus for them overall, but he's not going to even out the loss of Rashawn Slater. And I think Amari Hampton is a really good player. I think he's even a really good pass protector for a rookie. And Najee Harris is tough and serviceable, but the Chiefs are probably going to do a little bit of bend, not break. Like I expect to see a lot of 6 and 7 yard runs on first down that frustrate you, but I don't see those guys ripping off 30, 40 yard runs, especially in Amari Hampton's first time out. So I think Nick Bolton came out, him playing the next week. You're just going to see a different look team when you have McDuffie and Bolton and Jones kind of leading the charge. So I feel good about them stopping the Chargers rushing attack. But again, this is a great Roman Harbaugh offense. This is what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to like set the tone and shove it down our throat.
Yeah, they are. And I think if I recall, and I'm trying to pull it up now, and I think it could go very similarly this year. Remember so we beat these guys on the road last year, 17-10. And it was 17. That doesn't look right. Yeah, here we go. Oh, sorry. So it was 10-7 Chargers at the half, the first time we played them last year. And I remember it was like, we couldn't get a lot done. We only scored 1 touchdown. And then they go to the half and Andy makes his adjustments. And then the Chiefs score 10 points in the second half, blank the Chargers. They don't score again. I could see a similar situation unfolding tomorrow night in Brazil. They're going to have a game plan. They're going to come out. They're going to execute it. And I think sometimes the Chiefs in these games early, particularly defensively, I think Spags goes a little more conservative early in the game. He wants to try to figure out what they're doing. And it's not that he wants to give up a ton of ground, but he doesn't really get into his bag as much early on. He kind of feels it out. Seems like a lot of times the Chiefs like defense will give up like a field goal drive early in the game. And then Spags is like, I see what you're doing here. And now I'm going to bust out my blitzes. I'm saving them for high leverage moments. And so I think that's what happened last year. I feel like that used to happen a lot to the Chiefs, even when we had Andy. Like, we play a Belichick team, and like we'd be like hanging around in there. Like, we play the Patriots, and
You
we'd
mean
be hanging
Alex?
around. Yeah, Alex, and like, but like when we'd be playing Belichick, right? Even before Andy Reid, there was like that game one time where we like, we hung with the Colts for a little while with Brody Croyle, you know, but that the better team usually wins in the end. They figure it out because you just run out of tricks. The whole Tyler Thigpen season, remember, like we'd have these like Chan Gailey was like throwing everything he had, and like we'd be like we'd have something going in the first half, and then we'd get obliterated in the second half of all those games. Belichick was like a master of adjustments. And even when we weren't up to snuff, maybe we were hanging around, and usually he'd come out and he'd figure it out after halftime. Early Mahomes at work, like, it would take some time. He would always have a game plan. So I think Harbaugh is going to have a good game plan, and I think it'll be close early. But I think if the Chiefs are healthy and guys are flowing the way we want them to flow, I think we pull away late in that one. It's tricky. What do you think about our receiving game? We just talked about there's no Rashee Rice in this one. Who's gonna step up? Is it gonna be Hollywood Brown? Is it gonna be Xavier Worthy? Are you looking for Kelsey to be the guy that really leads the way in the passing game? Is it gonna be a complete group effort? Is it gonna be somebody else? Is it gonna be Nico Remigio or Noah Gray? Like, is there gonna be a lead dog in the receiving game, or is it gonna be by committee?
It's going to be by committee, but I think they're going to manufacture touches for Xavier Worthy. Now, Xavier Worthy is built differently than Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice is a tank, man. You can run an offense through him without getting gimmicky, right? Because he's the kind of body that can take 12 receptions every week, and Worthy really isn't. And it's a little harder to deliver him the ball than it is Rashee Rice. He's just a smaller target, different route tree. But I think they'll figure out how to get him a minimum of 6 to 8 touches. I don't know how much they can count on Hollywood Brown, but I think Kelsey does look trimmer. And you said it yourself, don't expect 2021, 2022 Kelsey. But I think we can expect maybe 2023 Kelsey and certainly not 2024 Kelsey. He just looked quicker and slimmer to me out there. And I think he's adjusted to his newfound fame, being one of the most famous people in the world, and his priorities are not that his priorities were off. I just think he's uniquely focused on football given his situation in the past few years, because he knows this might be the last dance. So I think it's Kelsey and Worthy. I think you're going to see a steady dose of Pacheco. I've been impressed with what I've seen with him. He looks surprisingly spry given how we last saw him in the Super Bowl, kind of just not resembling the Isaiah Pacheco that Chiefs fans know and love. So I think it's going to be those three guys. Noah Gray is old reliable. I think in a game where you don't have Rashee Rice, and who knows how healthy Hollywood Brown is, and Tyquan Thornton is just getting acclimated, Noah Gray is a guy that Mahomes knows on 3rd and 8. He can trust him. He's going to squeeze the football. So that might be your dark horse for a big game.
I think if anybody's the lead dog, it's going to be Kelsey. He's had a great career just torching the Chargers, but it comes down to how do the Chargers try to defend him, and do they put are they going to put Derwin James on him? And if they do, who do you think comes out on top in that battle?
I think Derwin James has lost a step. And as someone who played safety, like, it kills me to say that because I really admire him as a player, but he's just not the same guy he used to be. And even if Travis Kelce has lost a step, I still think Travis Kelce usually got him in their battles. Another X factor here is Dayon Henley, their linebacker, who is really dynamic and a great athlete. I think he's probably like the next Chargers star if I had to like pick one guy out that fans might not know yet, or at least like opposing fans might not know yet. So maybe he could get involved. Maybe they'll put some of those young corners on Kelsey. I think they're going to mix it up and not just put Derwin on him all night, because I don't think Derwin's the kind of player anymore that can just shadow 87 and shut him down.
I think if that's the case, I think Kelsey has a big game. I actually think that the players to watch offensively for both teams in this one are the two old dogs, Keenan Allen and Travis Kelsey. I don't know how big of a season either of them is going to have over the long haul, but like for Hall of Fame level players at that age, this is, you know what I mean? Like if you've got Keenan Allen in a fantasy league, and maybe nobody does, but if you've got him, don't be surprised if he has like a couple big weeks or even just a big week one against the Chiefs. And then it just sort of starts to tail off, because they're going to be fresher than they will be all season right now. And they have their tricks, their veteran moves, they're savvy. They haven't been hit yet. And so it may lead to some big plays, but I keep an eye on those two on the offensive side of the ball. What about on the defensive side of the ball here for the Chiefs? Are you feeling good? We already talked about stopping the run. I just don't see. I'm not terribly afraid of this Chargers passing attack. Herbert's obviously good. Lad McConkey is excellent. He's going to get his. But then it's like Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen. I mean, they've got him as a star. He just got back on the team. Will Dissly, Tyler Conklin, Trey Harris. I mean, these guys aren't bums, but it's not exactly the Bengals wide receiver core out there.
No, and Keandre Lambert-Smith, the rookie, the surprising rookie out of Penn State, is getting rave reviews out of camp in the preseason. So maybe he could throw something at the Chiefs, but I'm not a Quentin Johnston believer. I'm not a Trey Harris believer. I just don't think they've done an exceptional job of building this wide receiver room. And Lad McConkey is a really good player, but he's one guy, and the Chiefs have a good secondary. I'm a little worried about the Chiefs' safeties, maybe a little bit, just because this is the first year they haven't really had a leader back there. You know what I mean? Like a proven veteran leader. They went from Barry to Badger to Justin Reed, and it's just a little different now. So, and also Shamari Connor, I like his rookie year. I thought he was exceptional. He hasn't quite been the player we hoped he would be. Part of that is how they've utilized him sometimes in the slot, but with McDuffie and Fulton, right? And Jalen Watson, I think they're pretty well equipped to shut down these receivers. And then, yeah, I believe in the linebackers when it comes to their tight ends and running backs. I think Bolton and Drew Tranquil, right, and Leo Chanel will do fine.
Yeah, I think we're going to be okay on the defensive side of the ball. All right, let's get to our game predictions here. It's time. I'll kick us off. Like I said, the Chiefs just have such a track record of scoring a ton of points in these openers. I think the average is something like 34 points or 33 points in the Mahomes era in these openers. So I'm going to give the Chargers a little bit of a discount because it's a divisional game and these guys are really familiar. Give me the Chiefs with the win, 31-27. I think the Chiefs are going to give up some ground on defense because it's an opener and there's going to be some stuff that'll surprise them. But I also think it's going to be a little bit more of a fast-paced game, and I think the Chiefs are going to get their groove back on offense. And it's Andy coming off the off season, like he's going to have all kinds of wacky stuff. How about you?
Yeah, and I'm a little hesitant because I remember the last time I predicted a Chiefs game, I'm like, nobody beats Andy Reid with extra time. And boy, did I regret saying those words. But I think this is a different team when it comes to talent level. They just don't have the top level talent of the Eagles or the Chiefs for that matter. And I think the Chargers are lucky this game is not at Arrowhead, because Friday night, Arrowhead home opener, I mean, that place, people would be people would be drunk at 10 in the morning, ready to go. I'm glad we're saving that for the Eagles, but I think the Chiefs take care of business. Like you said, early in the game, it might be a fact-finding mission, but they're going to recalibrate, and the better team's going to win this one, let's say 24-17.
Your score might be more realistic than mine. Coming off that Super Bowl, I think they're gonna be there's gonna be an offensive explosion. I'm praying for it. All right. Let us know your predictions if you've got any in the chat. We'll try to read some of them. CBeach60 says Big Bob Tunyon is gonna shock the world. Did he get promoted back up to the active roster? I didn't even see if that happened. I know he was on the practice squad. Oh, I think he did. Let me check the depth chart here. Big Bob. Surely he did, because it was just a procedural move.
That was just a tactical swapperoo.
Yeah. He's back up there. Royals is out for this game, by the way. I forgot to do the injury report. And obviously no Rashee Rice, but that's it. So that's good news here for the Chiefs. There's some guys that are a little bit banged up, but only Royals is out. Hollywood Brown is all set to go, and so that's good news. Weston says 27-17 Chiefs. I'd take that. I'll take a 10-point victory with a 3-point spread. All right. We're going to get into a little bit of movie talk for Paddy's Power Rankings before we take off. So if you're here just for Chiefs stuff, we do a little movie talk at the end of this because we're cinephiles. So stick around, because we're talking about 1996 in film. No, I didn't pick. I'm done trying to come up with clever ways to pick years. I'm trying to find years we haven't talked about yet. So 1996, there's some fun. This was interesting when I was looking at this year. There's some really bad movies in this year. It's like Biodome came out with Pauly Shore. Like there's some sort of famously terrible movies in this year. But let's get started with you got a couple honorable mentions, so why don't you kick us off? Then remember, these are not the 3 best. These are our 3 favorite movies or recommendations, whatever you want.
And I've got your back, man. 1996 was the year of Gardner Minshew. There you go. The world gave us little Gardner Minshew that year,
Yeah.
and his parents actually sat there with the birth certificate and said, "This is the name we're gonna bestow on our son." And
yeah,
it's been glorious ever since. Okay, really quickly, honorable mentions for me: Lone Star, a kind of independent Texas Western, John Sayles, like really great movie that kind of gave us Matthew McConaughey, and it's got like Chris Christopherson and Chris Cooper, just an acting clinic. Frances McDormand's in it. Highly recommend it. The next one is Bound, which gave us the Wachowski siblings. And that was actually the movie when Warner Brothers said, "Hey, we love this Matrix stuff, but we're not going to hand a couple of newbies $100 million, back in 1999. So you guys show us you can make a film, because this script is great and the storyboards are great." So they made this little noir called Bound. It's a lot of fun. I admire the movie a lot. Number 3 for me is a completely unserious movie called Kingpin, starring Woody Harrelson and Bill Murray. One of the greatest sports comedies of all time. And like on paper, they basically took The Color of Money, the old Paul Newman, Tom Cruise movie about pool.
Yeah.
And they took Witness, the Amish movie with Harrison Ford, and they threw it in a blender, and it totally shouldn't have worked. But it really just works. It's a lot of fun. It's one of the most rewatchable comedies of the 90s. Bill Murray with just the iconic big earn, and it's a ridiculous movie. Like, I can't sit here and say a movie that's known for them drinking bull semen it is like an Oscar-worthy, film, but I love it nonetheless.
90s was a big decade for bowling movies. You get Kingpin, you get The Big Lebowski a couple years later. So my honorable mentions here. I'm going to go Independence Day. Not a great movie, but it's great at what it sets out to achieve, right? It's a boatload of fun. Will Smith is hilarious in it. You get peak Jeff Goldblum. A lot of 90s cheese. perfect popcorn flick, great summer movie, funny. I mean, Will Smith
Wacky Dennis Quaid too. 2 movies with wacky Dennis Quaid right here.
Yeah, wacky Dennis Quaid. Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum were comedy gold together. So love Independence Day. And give me Swingers as well. Another great classic comedy, a lot of fun. Love the scene where they're playing the hockey video game and the delivery guy comes and the drive out to Vegas. Some iconic quotable lines from that one. And then a little under the radar, I feel like That Thing You Do with Tom Hanks. The Tom Hanks boy band movie is a lot of fun to watch. Super catchy, of course. As soon as I put it on my list, that song that they wrote for that movie instantly got stuck in my head, and it will probably be for the next couple of days. But number 3 for me is A Time to Kill. I don't know that this is a perfect movie, but I'm a big Matthew McConaughey guy. I'm a big Samuel L. Jackson guy. And it's been a minute since I've watched it, but I found the film extremely affecting. And there's, race is a very complicated topic to do in art, right? Racism and they deal with some very, very difficult topics. And I don't know how successfully do they get the themes across. But I mean, the performances are powerful. The intention and earnestness of the movie is very, very present. It poses a really interesting question. Basically, if you've never seen it, Samuel L. Jackson has a daughter that is, attacked by some really nasty people, and he kills them. He guns them down when they're in the courthouse, and Matthew McConaughey ends up defending him. And I think it's got one of the most impactful, when you're talking about courtroom drama, one of the most impactful, like, final arguments from Matthew McConaughey. It's really, really good. And Samuel L. Jackson's just incredible in it. If for anything, watch it for Samuel L. Jackson. He's tremendous in this film. Time to Kill.
Yeah, so we're going to go from one Samuel L. Jackson movie to another. It's funny, we've got multiple McConaughey, multiple Quaid, and now multiple Samuel L. Jackson. It is hard 8, really, where Paul Thomas Anderson broke upon the scene. Just stacked cast: Philip Baker Hall, John C. Reilly. This is like serious John C. Reilly, not like Step Brothers or Talladega Nights. Samuel L. Jackson, Gwyneth Paltrow, and the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman, who I know you love. Just a great watch. I love movies about Vegas and swingers. We got a lot of synergy today. As soon as you said swingers, I started thinking Beautiful Babies. That's going to be in my head now. The Vince Vaughn. But and we've got a new PTA Paul Thomas Anderson movie coming out with Leo. First time they've worked together this month. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, if you guys have never seen this one, give it a whirl.
I think people don't realize the chops that John C. Reilly has. Like, because of some of the comedy stuff that he's done, like, that dude is talented. He can act. He's really, really good. Not the people that just primarily do comedy can't do act, but I think sometimes it surprises people when they think of someone as a comedic actor to see them do more serious stuff.
Have you heard the story? I think it was Death of a Salesman. Is that the one with the 2 parts, with only 2 parts? I'm trying to think of what play it would have been.
Waiting for Godot.
I think it was Waiting for Godot. That's right.
Yeah.
Where they switched parts every night, him and Philip Seymour Hoffman. And then the last day, allegedly, they had 2 shows and they switched parts from the first to the second. So just.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a fun thing. Rough, because that is not, Waiting for Godot is not easy text to learn. And then to learn both parts. People do that. My wife's theater company did Frankenstein. And they had the the doctor and the monster change every night, and that was a fun way to do it as well. Totally nuts. Number 2 for me is Scream. I always find a way to work a horror film in there. This is just an absolutely iconic, transcendent horror movie from the great Wes Craven, who directed it, did not write it. He sets such great mood in this film. That's the thing that I've always admired the most about his films. He the way that he works with like the sound mixing and the score to create tension is really unrivaled in the genre. And he does this in Scream. It's probably my favorite part of it, is the sense of dread, and so much can be done in the transitions between scenes and those shots and that and the music and how the movie flows. And I think Craven was a master at that. And then of course it's a great script, wonderfully shot, and lots of fun homages to the genre. A must watch every Halloween.
Man, I was 17 when that came out, and let me tell you, we went on a quintuple date to the theater, like 10 of us. Epic, like one of the all-time date movies when you're a teenager. Scream.
Oh, man.
Being in high school, it just was. It's like the perfect date movie for high schoolers, maybe of all time. So
yeah,
love it. Number 1 for me is Fargo. I think there's an argument that it's top 5 most influential movies of the 90s. And if Pulp Fiction kind of taught us that life is messed up and crazy and it's okay to laugh, Fargo taught us that sometimes all you can do is laugh, right? That life gets so bizarre and dark. And also like Grit and Grace, the Frances McDormand character. And this movie gave us the Coens. And I know I'm probably turning into a parody of myself picking the Coens. I refrained from picking a Wes Anderson film on this list today, just so I wouldn't be too much a parody of myself. But yeah, I mean, this movie gave us it didn't give us, but this is the movie that really took, along with Reservoir Dogs, Steve Buscemi to the moon, right? So I just love it. I watch it every year. And it never loses its fastball, man.
Yeah. I joked with you earlier. Never looked at wood chippers the same way again. Just had a tree cut down on my property, and they were out there using it, and I was like, I see one, I think of Fargo.
You think of that robe, and you think, yeah.
Number 1 for me, and this is fortuitous. When I picked 1996, literally was the first year that popped into my head. I did not realize that this was the Crucible year, but this is when the Crucible came out, the film version of it. I think it's the second time they've made it into a film. I'm doing the play right now. Opens in 2 weeks from today. Freaking out a little bit. Been working really hard on it. But if you want to see it done really well, you can watch the movie with Daniel Day-Lewis, one of the greatest of all time when it comes to the acting department. But you also get Joan Allen in this movie, Winona Ryder. It's fantastic. It's about the Salem witch trials if you've never seen it, but it is really, 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 I think it's a terrifically done adaptation of the play. And you get these performances from the leads that are fantastic. The great thing about the Crucible is that it's almost always relevant. It's such a well done story. It was written around the time of the McCarthyism in the 50s, but like there's always a witch hunt going on for somebody, right? And it's just always applicable, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned from it, about hypocrisy and religious hypocrisy and morality. It's really fantastic. A must watch. I cannot watch the end of that film without crying. I've as many times as I've seen it, I've not, and it's hard for me because I've got to play this role now, and I got to try to get Daniel Day-Lewis out of my head because I can't be Daniel Day-Lewis, and I don't want to try to just like do lines the way he did them. But man, it's hard to get that out.
You're playing. I mean, those are the biggest shoes you can get into. Are we going to be 2 weeks from now on the OG Hour? Are we going to be running lines for this segment instead of picking movies?
2 weeks from now on the OG hour, I will not be here because
You're gonna be on stage.
Well, the play doesn't open until it starts at 7:30. But I will not. My brain. I can't do a podcast. Like I'm not going to be able to. I got to go into a whole nother place. I haven't been on stage in 17 years. I never was nervous to be on stage. I'm nervous to be on stage. This is a really difficult role. It's very meaty. It's a lot of lines. And I just hope I'm ready for it. This is the only work I'm doing this week. I took this week off to work on the role. So
we can bring in the doc out of the bullpen if we want another OG for that Thursday, man.
Yeah. We'll have to figure out the cover for it. But yeah, if you're in Chicago, Beverly Arts Center, the Crucible, 4 nights only, come see me. And,
you'll kill it, man. I know.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Good chance too for anybody who wants to give me a piece of their mind. Now you know where I'm going to be and when. And shout out to my guy Kyle, who sent me a lovely care package today, full of Count Chocula. One of our longtime listeners and pals here on the show. I've been so busy, I haven't been able to get out to the right store to get my Count Chocula fix. I'm set. I don't have to do it now. So appreciate Kyle and all of our listeners. You guys are amazing. If you want to become a member of our crew here at the Arrowhead Addict podcast, check out the link in the description. It's a great way to support the show. You can join our private Discord, which is hopping, especially during Chiefs games where we're all in there, the hosts included, watching the game together. So we appreciate y'all. We got to get out of here. I gotta work on my lines. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I'm gonna go. And Adam's gonna write some films that we'll be talking about on the show someday. So thank you to producer Sean for getting us up and running today. Producer Richard is on vacation. Hope he's having a good time. Thank you to the blog father, Adam Best. Enjoy the return of football tonight. Eagles, Cowboys. We'll be back tomorrow night with Freaky Friday, Chiefs pregame show, halftime show. And you'll see me on the Chiefs post-game show after the Chiefs beat the hell out of the San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers. Until tomorrow night, we'll see you guys then. Go Chiefs.